In the time we're going to have left, we're going to go through some outbreak investigation examples, how it works. So the signal comes late June 2011, calls from 4 primary care physicians reporting 6 patients with bloody diarrhea. So sort of doctors are calling up, saying this is happening. That's our first alarm bell. 1 day later, call from the state testing lab at Department of Health, reporting an increase in laboratory reports of E. coli 0157. So that's pretty serious. Like so far in June 2011, we have 52 cases. So there's definitely some indication of that something is going on, and we have a pathogen identified. Now what? Main question is this a true outbreak? First, you should review the number of cases with the local health office or hospital staff and compare it with the number found at the same period recorded in the past 3 years. So if you find that there's more cases of 0157 now than previous years, then that might be an indication of an outbreak. That's great. Now what? After some emails, you start asking some people about numbers of cases over time, and you start comparing your current month with the other months or the current week or day or whatever. Pathogen E. coli 0157H7 was first identified as a human pathogen in 1982 in the US. There have been sporadic infections and outbreaks since reported from many parts of the world, in North America, Japan, elsewhere. Implicated foods are typically those derived from cattle, beef, raw milk. Infection has also been transmitted through contact with infected persons, contaminated water, and other contaminated food products. And also runoff from cattle farms into vegetable fields. So looking at, again, Controlled Communicable Diseases Manual is really awesome. So that's going to be your friend. Please look this up. E. coli 0157. Lots of interesting outbreaks and responses there. What might account for increased reports? Real increase in population size, for example, is one. Changes in population characteristics, like the demographic pyramid could have changed. Random variation, things happen. And outbreak could be an artificial increased testing of samples, new testing protocols, contamination of testing, changes in reporting procedures, and also sort of environmental contamination. Like if we're going to talk about E. coli, we have to talk about environmental contamination where there was one outbreak of E. coli, I don't know if it was 0157, in California, I believe, linked to spinach. And it was found because there was sort of abnormally high rainfalls during that previous several weeks, and runoff from a cattle farm was going into spinach fields and contaminating the vegetables there. And people were not washing their spinach properly, and it was transmitted, and spinach had to be recalled. So definitely environmental changes can lead to increased reports. Records show no substantial changes in population size, no appreciable changes in population characteristics, no laboratory-based changes. What does this suggest? Well, it could suggest there's an outbreak. That's the answer here, the easy one. Whenever we're talking about public health and infectious disease, we're only ever seeing one part of the picture. How much of that picture is unseen will depend on a lot of factors, for sure, but we'll never ever see the complete picture. In cases of pathogens like SARS or Ebola, which have rapid and serious presentation, it's very, very easy to see more of the picture. But for example, COVID-19, there is so much that we're not seeing right now. And so part of the challenge of doing not only outbreak analysis, but just doing epidemiology is sort of accounting for all these things that we don't see. we should be seeing a complete picture, like as much of the iceberg as we can, as much as the elephant as we can. But there's numerous challenges to seeing all these things. The second example is a case study based on an outbreak that occurred in Austin, Texas in 1998. On the morning of March 11, 1998, the Texas Department of Health received a telephone call from a male student at a nearby university. Medical attention received by anyone? No. It's strange because they both refused the telephone calls. They're both 18, 19. And there was no stool samples. Basically, we don't know anything about these people. This is student and his roommate were both suffering from nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. Both had become ill during the night. The roommate had taken medication. Neither student sought medical care. Both students believed a local pizza shop was responsible. Students asked if they go to class, take a midterm exam that afternoon. So this is your case reporting. We have symptomatic profiles, some time of onset, but since they refuse medical attention, then we don't really know which pathogen this could be. So the data collection in this case becomes quite rudimentary. What was the first day you began feeling these symptoms? Besides your home, please name each place that you spend on a regular basis. Let's go through all the foods and beverages you've eaten that recently, starting with yesterday. What did you have to eat or drink? Breakfast yesterday morning. And this is where like recall becomes very important. Food-borne illness is really challenging to collect data on. Stool samples is easy, but getting those stool samples is hard. Getting people to recall what they ate is difficult as well. Students refuse to provide food history beyond foods eaten in a local pizzeria. So, not sure what to do with that. He and his roommate shared no other meals in the last 72 hours. They ate separately at the university dining hall. So that's all we know. Now what? What do you advise the student about attending class that day? Well, you refer the student to health center for evaluation. Hope they go. If they're asymptomatic, they can return to normal activities. What should next steps be? Should we just file the report and stop, or should we investigate further? What does everyone think? So here we're dealing with a situation where we have extremely incomplete data. We're relying on students to voluntarily report what they know. The students in this case have decided that they're convinced that it's the local pizzeria, and it's sort of like left out any other information. So I guess the question is, what would you do in this situation?